Hello students, this is Geethanjali. In this video, we'll be learning about RNA. So, RNA was found as the genetic material in viruses like TMV, tobacco mosaic virus, QB bacteriophage, etc. Just after some time that DNA was discovered as the genetic material. So, RNA can either be single-stranded or double-stranded, but usually we study it in the single-stranded form. In DNA, we saw that the sugar was deoxyribose, whereas here the sugar is ribose. So we know RNA and DNA both are nucleic acids, so their structure is similar, except that it is usually single-stranded, and the sugar that is found here is ribose instead of deoxyribose. And one more difference is that we saw that there are nitrogen bases, purines, and pyrimidines, right? So here, in this case, we find another pyrimidine instead of thymine. So we know thymine is a pyrimidine. Instead of thymine, there's another pyrimidine called uracil. Uracil is nothing but thymine itself, but without the methyl group at the fifth position. So thymine is basically 5-methyl uracil. So in RNA, we find uracil instead of thymine. Since this is ribose and not deoxyribose, so the sugar has OH group at its second carbon position, okay? And this, even after the formation of bonds, is a free OH group. And this makes the RNA a bit reactive. As organisms evolved, DNA was actually the preferred genetic material rather than RNA. So why that happened, let us see. First of all, for a molecule to behave as genetic material, there are a few conditions that are supposed to be followed. So first thing is it has to have the ability to replicate itself. So obviously, genetic material should be able to replicate itself so that the reproduction goes on and the organisms that are being formed have the same characteristics of the previous organisms. And it should be chemically stable and structurally too. You know that in the transformation experiment, even after heat killing the S strain bacteria, the DNA was able to transfer into the rough strain bacteria. So you see how stable genetic material should be, and it should also be stable because any sort of change in the genetic material could change the characteristic of the organisms. And it should provide scope for slow changes, mutation that are required for evolution. Yes, they should be structurally and chemically stable, but they should also give scope for slow changes, mutation, because obviously ultimately mutation is important for evolution. Coming to the fourth point, that is, it should be able to express itself in Mendelian characters. So Mendelian characters, in sense, we saw the loss of inheritance and all that, right? When a particular allele expresses itself over another allele, it is said to be dominant and the other is said to be recessive. That is what is meant here. Considering these points, we can say that DNA is definitely more stable. Okay, in the form of stability, it is more stable because you see this one has a free OH group which can be reactive, and this one has thymine instead of uracil. So actually thymine is more stable than uracil. So in that case too, DNA wins in stability. So that is why DNA is the most preferred genetic material than RNA. Even though RNA has its own importance, DNA is a better genetic material than RNA. That is why it slowly replaced RNA as evolution happened.